Start now.
Hey, hey. Thank you guys for hanging in there with me. I had some technical difficulties. So I'm trying to make sure that I am connected to Instagram as well. This is your girl here, R. Marie, healing coach. Let's see what is going on with my connections here today. So I know that many of you will probably catch the replay. So I'm now live on Facebook as well as Instagram. Again, this is your girl, healing coach R. Marie. And I position women to heal well, be whole, and to live in freedom. So I have been doing this series, the Unmasked series, where we are taking the mask off. And so we've talked about several different, well, I shouldn't even say several because we're on day 6, and I kind of did some lead up work prior to getting into the emotions or the character traits that about pride. We've talked about fear, which was a heavy hitter, and tonight we're talking about something else that is a heavy hitter, and that is rejection. So if you have been dealing with rejection, and when we're talking about rejection here, we're talking about the spirit of rejection. Okay, let me be very clear here and say that we all have experienced rejection from time to time. Okay, whether it was we didn't get the job that we applied for, whether it was, a relationship that we valued ended, someone rejected us in that way, we were, rejected by our first crush, whatever it is, we've all experienced some level of rejection. But tonight, we're talking about the spirit of rejection. Again, when we're talking about these emotions, we're talking about these emotions as if you are wearing them. They are a part of your identity. You don't know who you are apart from them. And so what happens a lot of times when these emotions weigh heavily upon us is that we begin to mask them, because of course we don't want to walk around and say my name is rejection, right? Or I represent rejection. But so sometimes what happens is, as a result of that, is that we begin to mask those emotions because we really feel like other people are not able to determine what those emotions or what those character traits are. So thank you guys for joining. I see you guys on Instagram with the program that I use for Facebook. Unfortunately, I can't see if you're here, and I'm trying to see any comments that I may have. And so if you have comments, please just let me know. Let me know that you're here. Go ahead and share this out, because I promise you're going to want to hear this information about rejection. If you've ever dealt with that spirit of rejection, if you know someone else that you may be listening to these signs as I begin to talk about some common ways that we mask rejection, because again, this is the Unmasked series. We are trying to remove the mask in order for us to be our authentic selves, okay, and to be the woman that God has created us to be. So we have to take off the mask. We have to identify these emotions before we can even remove them. We have to acknowledge that we have them and that they have become a part of us and that we are wearing them. We are identifying as them. We are waking up with them, going to bed with them, eating with them, entertaining them. And so today is where it stops, okay? And so if you're joining, we're again doing the Unmasked series. Thank you so much, Rolanda, for joining on Facebook, and Shantina on Instagram. Thank you so much. Grand teacher, Miss Felicia, thank you so much for joining on Instagram. So we're going to get right into this because time is well spent. And again, I apologize for the technical issues. I was trying to... I kept going live, so you probably got several notifications. I apologize about that, but for some reason my sound was not working, so we were trying to get that together. But we are going to go forth and get this message out because it's so important if you're dealing with rejection, okay? All right, so there are several reasons why someone may feel rejected. And so I'm going to go over some of those reasons first. And again, we're talking about rejection in the terms of this is what you habitually feel. This is a constant emotion that you struggle with. Okay. It is not fleeting. It is not I'm rejected again because I didn't get the job I wanted, or someone told me no when I thought I deserved a yes. That is not what we're talking about. We all from time to time have those types of feelings, but we're talking about rejection in the sense of we feel rejected based upon some things that we have experienced. And because we feel rejected, there are some behavior that we exhibit. There's some mindsets that we exhibit, all as a result of the spirit of rejection. Hey, Jackie, thank you for joining. All right, so we're going to get right into this. Some reasons why people experience rejection first stems from childhood, okay? Perhaps you felt rejected or neglected as a child. Perhaps you were abused as a child. Okay. And that is something that obviously, we want to take very seriously. I am not negating the effect of that, because I know that the effect of that can be very, very heavy. Okay. But those who have experienced that oftentimes grow into having a spirit of rejection. And so some of those ways that neglect may have exhibited itself in your childhood, maybe you have a parent or had a parent, or one of your parents, or even perhaps both of your parents were not available to you in a way that you felt was necessary, whether that is financially, whether that is emotionally, whether there was voice, whatever the case may be. You felt like you were missing something in your childhood, okay? And that could be a result, again, of neglect. It could be a result of abuse. And so those types of things that can occur in one's childhood can cause someone to feel rejected, okay? Parent, thank you, Shantina, for being transparent. She says a father, and that is a common thing that happens. But sometimes, can we be honest, it's not just the father. Sometimes moms can also be emotionally unavailable. They don't want to have conversation. They are doing other things, and they are prioritizing other things over their children. And so it is a very common occurrence for fathers, but I don't want to give the ideology like it's just fathers, because it is not. Moms also can be emotionally unavailable to their children. Although moms are known to probably be the most nurturing and the most caring in the household, you can have a parent that is, or even estranged relationships between parents. And so those are some of the reasons that people experience rejection, as far as it being a learned behavior from their childhood. Another thing is being bullied as a child, being talked about, being criticized. And again, we all have gone through where someone has said something rude about us. Someone has commented on one of our features. Someone has said something about our weight, our height, the way we look, things that we say. We all have had those types of experience. But when it becomes a constant issue, and it is something that you are afraid to go to school, you were, just feeling very ashamed of yourself around other people, feeling like you did not fit in with different social groups in school, that can become a constant issue. And so if we're criticized, and I'll be honest with you, when I was a child and growing up, my nose and my lips was something that I was commonly criticized about, okay? And I've even said this as an adult to someone before, and I said, I do kind of have a big nose, and because sometimes when you've been told something for so long, you begin to believe it about yourself, right? And that person said, you don't have a big nose, and I'm like, really? Because I always just kind of assumed that I did, because that's what people said growing up. And then the same with my lips. But you know what happened, y'all? I'm going to tell y'all this quick little story. I was doing something, and I was in a store, actually. I was in an alteration store, and this lady asked me, Did I pay for my lips? Did I pay to have my lips done? And I was really taken aback because I'm like, no, these are my natural lips. And I say that to say that sometimes what people picked on with us, and we may carry that thing and we may begin to believe that thing, but other people can see the beauty in that very thing. And so what I may think are big lips and what other people may even think are big lips, some people are paying to get these lips, okay? Some people are paying to get these lips. So that was just a little sidebar, but we're going to go back to this. But when sometimes we have been bullied and we are consistently talked about, it feeds us a message that what other people are saying about us is truth. Okay. And we begin to believe that thing about ourselves, which makes us feel inferior to other people, which makes us feel rejected. Thank you again, Shantina, saying being picked upon because of her weight. It is a real thing. And you know what happens as a result of that? A lot of times, in order for people to save face, and what happens is when things are said about us, a lot of times we will internalize that thing and we will say, girl, you know I love to eat, you know I love to do this. Why? Because we are trying to talk about ourselves before someone else has the opportunity to do so. So a lot of times when you find people saying things negative about themselves, they're trying to beat you to the punch, which is another way of masking, because again, we're talking about how we mask rejection, which we haven't really gotten into that yet. But right now we're talking about some reasons that people commonly feel rejected. Okay. The other thing is low self-esteem, socially awkward. Sometimes when people are socially awkward and just do not fit into any circle, it's because they themselves are trying to close that door subconsciously. So sometimes when we feel rejected, and I'm now taking a turn getting into some ways that we mask rejection. When we feel rejected, we expect for everyone else to also reject us. So as a result of that, we begin to subconsciously push these people away. So when I'm talking about being socially awkward, when I'm talking about even talking about yourself before someone else has the opportunity to, that again is a way that we commonly mask these emotions. And one of the things that I said about this when we're talking about times we think that we are not, no one else can see that we actually feel rejected. And sometimes, surprisingly enough, we don't even know that we're operating in a spirit of rejection. But other people within our sphere of influence can see and can say, you know what, there's something not right. You don't think about yourself the way you should be thinking about yourself. And so what happens is our emotions begin to ooze from under our mask. I'm telling you, sis, people can see it. People can detect it. Sometimes where you're so easily taken advantage of and why people prey on your emotions is because what you can't see, other people can. And so they are preying on those emotions. So I'm starting to see some of these comments. Thank you, Allison. We criticize ourselves first, so it hurts less when others do it. Yes, it softens the blow when we're able to do that about ourselves first, but it is a mask sometimes that we wear, and that may not always just be the spirit of rejection, but it could be a sign that you see yourself as less. It could be a sign that you are insecure. It could be a sign that you have low self-esteem. All right, so thank you for pointing that out. And so, like I said, we're taking that turn, and I'm just going to take a little sip of tea. I hope y'all got y'all tea, because this is time for tea with our Marie. All right. So some of the ways that we begin to mask rejection, and if you have missed any of these videos, this is part 6. They are all on my IGTV. Healing Coach R. Marie is the page. You can find parts 1 through 5 there in the series Unmasked. Okay. But tonight we're talking about rejection. So some of the ways that we mask the spirit of rejection is a constant need to be liked. All right. Now, Can we be honest for a moment? You know, we all have heard people say, I don't care about what anybody think. I don't care about what anybody say. Let me just tell you right point blank to your face that that is a lie. Okay, there is somebody in all of our lives that we do value their opinion. There's someone in all of our lives that we do care about what they think. Okay, now does that mean that that's the same for everybody? No, but the closer that person is to us, we tend to value their opinion more. But where it becomes an issue, because that's not necessarily a problem, that's not a wrong thing to value your spouse's opinion. However, where it becomes an issue is when you have a constant need to be liked. Okay, what happens what does this look like when you mask this type of behavior? It looks like this. You work extra hard to win the favor of other people. That is when it becomes an issue. When you are working harder at a one-sided relationship, when that other person is not extending the same type of friendship to you. When you're working harder in a romantic relationship, when that person is not extending the same love to you. When you're working harder in a friendship, when that person is not extending the same thing to you. Okay, when you're trying to work so hard to win favor, why is that a mask? Because again, you're doing it, your pure motive for doing that is because you want and have a need to be liked. Okay, so you feel like the more I perform, the more I do, the more I, whatever it is, you can fill in the blank there, whatever that is, I am going to win that person's favor. Do you know that you can do that over and over and over and over again, and you can be used up over and over and over and over again, but that does not mean that you have won anyone's favor. Okay? They can be playing on your emotions. All right? So having a constant need to be liked and constantly trying to win the favor of other people is a sure sign that you may be masking rejection. The other thing is this, and there's a flip side of that, is that sometimes it's not just that you're working to win favor of other people. Sometimes it is also that you run people away with your high expectations that are not realistic. Okay, we cannot put expectations on other people that are not realistic. And so what happens when people do not meet our high expectations, we begin to tell ourselves things like, well, this person never wanted to be our friend anyway. I will give you a prime example. We all have had the friend that, you know, they may text you and you may take a couple hours to text back, or whatever the case may be. And that friend may, instead of thinking to themselves, oh, maybe she just got busy, maybe she got caught up at work, whatever the case may be, that friend starts to internalize, this person doesn't care about me. Oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? You ever had people that come to you and say, did I do something to offend you? What did I do wrong? And you're thinking, nothing. Like, I have no idea what you're even talking about. That is because a lot of times these people internalize rejection. Again, they always are moved by the motive of they rejected. And so for them, love looks strange. It doesn't seem realistic. It doesn't seem genuine. So they're always expecting rejection. Okay, so let's go back to this when I said that they run people away with their high expectations. A lot of times they become very accusatory. Okay, they accuse people of doing things that are simply not true. Sometimes in these relationships, when we're talking about romantic relationships or marital relationships, they may be accusing their spouse of cheating, which is just not true. But they're internalizing that because, again, they're expecting to be rejected. So anytime their spouse leaves home, anytime their pattern seems to change, anytime, you know, there's a phone call, they're expecting drama. And they're expecting for it to happen. Okay. And so they become very accusatory. And then the flip side of that may be, or they avoid relationships altogether. They have a wall built that no one can penetrate because they are so afraid of being rejected that they rather not even take the risk of being intimate, take the risk of building any friendships, take the risk of getting into any types of relationships. All right. So again, if you're just joining or if you catch the replay, this is Time for Tea with R. Marie. This is part 6 of the Unmasked series. And we are talking about rejection tonight. So if you're dealing with rejection, and again, we're talking about the spirit of rejection. Okay. All right. So let's move on. Rejection also proves to people, where we're talking about that they expect to be rejected, it proves to them what they already think about themselves. So they base their self-worth on how people see them. If they are rejected, then they in turn feel unworthy. If they are rejected, then they in turn feel like they are not valued. If they are rejected, then they in turn feel like they are not loved. But can I be honest with you? Some of that may not even be rejection. Some of that could just be that the other person was busy. Some of that could just be that you are not the other person's thing. Okay, so women, and let me just talk to my single woman for just a second. Allison, it might need to be a whole healing session, girl. Let me talk to my single women for just a second. When we're talking about rejection, and like I said, we all have had rejection where someone we liked did not like us, okay? But this is what you have to tell yourself. I just may not be that person's cup of tea. We're talking about tea, right? Time for tea. I just may not be that person's cup of tea. That does not mean that I don't have value. That does not mean that I am not attractive. That just means that I am not what that person wants. And that person has every right to choose what they want. Everyone has a type. If we're honest, we have a type. I have a type. I like dark-skinned men. Okay, so if there was a red bone that came up to me and stepped up to me, they might not get the same type of discussion as if somebody dark skinned. Now, of course, we know I'm married now, but I'm just saying, y'all know. So everyone has a type, and that is okay. So we cannot take that and wear that as an identity and think that no one wants us because this person rejected us. That person, we may not have been attractive to them. And if we're honest, there are some people that are not attractive to us. And that is okay. That is okay. All right. So we also wear the mask of rejection by expecting something bad to happen. Again, we have a very difficult time for those who are wearing the spirit of rejection as their identity, have a very difficult time accepting love, accepting compliments, accepting truth, accepting constructive criticism, have a very difficult time accepting any of those things because they automatically feel rejected. Okay, so some of the ways that these masks carry themselves out is this. These people often misinterpret or overreact to whatever people do or say. So sometimes when you have people that are just overreacting to everything, okay, you're like, what did I say? What did I do? Like, I didn't even think it was that deep, and they are just overreacting to it. There probably is an underlying root issue that really has nothing to do with you personally. But because that person has not confronted the issue of rejection, confronted their feelings, and actually did something about them, taking steps to heal from those character traits, or they begin to, again, overreact or misinterpret. And we're talking about even down to facial expressions. You ever had someone like, oh, why is she looking at me like that? And you're like, sweetie, I'm just looking. like, don't even take it personal. Oh, she didn't speak to me. Like, I didn't even know. I'm so sorry. And so sometimes, again, take a step back. It may not have anything to do with you personally. It may have everything to do with that person's upbringing, the way they see themselves, how they view themselves, how they, view other people in light of, again, their upbringing, learned behaviors, their own insecurities. All of those may be a very essential factor, and you are not the factor. Okay? All right. So some other things or ways that people mask rejection is they accept being treated poorly. All right. And so I really want to unpack this because we all teach people how to treat us. Okay. You teach, I don't care if it's your boss that we're talking about. I don't care if we're talking about a friend. I don't care if we're talking about a spouse, your children, whoever it is. You teach people how to treat you. And what you commonly allow on a consistent basis feeds that person a message that it is okay. It feeds the message that she is okay to tolerate this type of behavior. Okay, so sometimes that is a mask that we are wearing under rejection. Now, because remember, we're talking about rejection, and this is how that plays out a lot of times. You know, in a dating relationship or even in a marital relationship where you feel like your voice isn't heard. You feel like your opinion doesn't matter. You feel like that person really does not see you as valuable. They're doing you a favor, so to speak, for even being with you. Can you imagine that? Some people feel like they're being done a favor to even be spending time in their presence, or, and they're just so happy to, have that type of attention that they accept anything. And the old folk used to say, having a little bit of attention is better than having none at all, right? Wrong. Because when you have that type of mentality, what you're doing is accepting anything, and you're settling for anything, and you cannot have a proper view of yourself. You cannot have a proper view of how God created you when you accept being treated poorly. Okay, again, it goes back to, and you see how things are beginning to connect here. It goes back to even, expecting bad news. It goes back to how we see ourselves, having no value, feeling unworthy. All of those dots begin to connect. The other mask that you may be wearing with rejection is this jealousy. Jealousy is a huge factor of wearing the spirit of rejection. Okay, whether that is comparing yourself to other women. Okay, can I just be honest and say this? Y'all want me to be real tonight, right? There's always going to be somebody, lady, that look better than you. Okay? There's always going to be somebody that can do something better than you, and you are always going to look better than somebody else and can do something better than them. Okay, we are all uniquely made. And the beautiful thing about it is that the Bible says we are all fearfully and wonderfully made. So when I talk about look better than you, I'm talking about to the human eye. Okay, beauty to the human eye is in the eye of the beholder. Okay, but to God, we are all created equal. We are all created fearfully and wonderfully. And it really is a knock to God. Okay, just imagine with me. You go into a very prestigious museum, right? And you see paintings that are worth millions of dollars, which I never quite understood that. But, I do get that, people work on paintings for years. And you see paintings that are just worth millions of dollars, and you go to this museum and you say, oh my gosh, that is so ugly. Like, why would somebody even pay that for that? That is not even worth that. You wouldn't do that, right? Because you would value that person's work. You would value how much time they put into creating this thing, right? So, but that is exactly how we slap God in the face when we see ourselves as unworthy. We are saying, me, God, you should have made my hair more like hers. You should have made my nose more like hers. You should have made my lips more like hers. Why don't I have the shape that she has? God, you... Can anybody feel what I'm talking about? Can anybody feel what I'm talking about? We all have been guilty of doing this. Okay, but again, I'm talking about when you consistently are jealous, when you're consistently comparing yourself to other people, you are not adding any value or worth to yourself. None. All right, so that was just a little sidebar that I got off on there. But then the very last thing I'm going to discuss, because it's almost 8 o'clock and I don't want to keep you guys too long. And again, thank you for hanging in there with me. I had some technical difficulties. This is the other thing. People who experience rejection may fear conflict so much that no intimacy can ever be established. Do you know that there are couples that pride themselves on saying, we never have an argument? Can I submit to you that that's an issue? And I don't mean argument in the sense of knock down, drag out, calling each other out of their name. No, because I'm not tolerating that either. So that's not what I'm talking about at all. But the way intimacy is established is that you are conveying your thoughts, you are conveying your opinions, you are conveying your wants, your desires, your needs. That is the way intimacy is established. And so when you fear conflict in that way, then you push back and you say to yourself, I'm not worthy to even say what I want. I'm not worthy to even communicate my needs. I ought to be happy what this person is already doing. I am not worthy to say my desires. And sometimes you fear conflict also because you're worried that the person will leave. If you're honest and authentically saying what you want, what you desire, what you need from the relationship, you're afraid that the person is not going to honor you and is going to leave. That the relationship will end, that the friendship will end. And so that becomes a problem. And you know what? There's so much more that I can say about rejection. I may really do a part 2 on this next week or add to this. But thank you all so much for joining in. I hope that this was helpful. Again, we're talking about taking the mask off. So if you notice, I'm not giving you the how as to how you're going to remove these masks. Because if I gave you the tools to heal and to be whole and to live in freedom now, you wouldn't know what to do with them if you can't identify first that there's an issue. So first we have to identify that there is an issue. Then we begin the beautiful work of healing. And I say a beautiful work because, and I heard someone say this a while ago, and I'll close with this, that the healing journey for them hurt almost worse than what they experienced. And a lot of times why people avoid healing is because they are going to have to recall the events. They're going to have to recall what happened. They're going to have to deal with them. They're going to have to deal with their reactions. They're going to have to deal with their emotions. They're going to have to confront some things. They're going to have to uproot some things. They're going to have to unpack some things. And so healing is not easy, but I'm telling you, it is a beautiful journey. It's a beautiful journey. And when you get to the other side of it, it is so freeing and so liberating and so victorious that you will wonder, why did you wait so long and stay stuck in those emotions? And I'm trying to get you to climb out of them. So that is my whole goal with this Unmasked series, is to get you to identify some emotions that you may be wearing as your identity. And then to start the work to heal. To take the mask off. Get real with yourself. You can't be authentic. You can't even say that I'm not worried about what other people say if you're not even being truly you. People don't even, for some of you, don't even know the real you. They know the facade that you're misrepresenting to the world. You don't even know, in some cases, the real you. So we're trying to change that. We're taking the mask off, ladies. We're taking it off. And so this has been Time for Tea with R. Marie. And you're right, Shantina, it hurts, but it's a good hurt. It's a good hurt. Nothing is wasted ever with God. Nothing is ever wasted. All right, so this has been Time for Tea with R. Marie. This is episode 16. This was part 6 also of the Unmasked series. On Instagram, I will save this to my IGTV. You'll also be able to catch the replay. I can't even talk at this point. Catch the replay on Facebook. So I hope, again, that this was helpful. Share this out if it was helpful to you. And I hope that you guys have a great night. I will see you guys next Thursday. But also, for the next several days, I've been going live on my Instagram page to continue the Unmasked series. So I will be back live tomorrow with the next emotion that we will be covering and trying to take the mask off. All right. So have a great rest of your evening. Have a good night. Bye-bye.